Here is a glass of water. Statistically speaking, the molecules in this glass have been around for about 4.5 billion years. They have cycled through the atmosphere, rained down on the oceans, been frozen in glaciers, and, let's be honest, passed through the kidneys of a stegosaurus or two. Water is the ultimate survivor. It is virtually indestructible. It doesn't rot, it doesn't spoil, it doesn't go bad. And yet, if you walk into a 7-Eleven right now and pick up a bottle of water, you will see a stamp, usually on the neck or the cap. It's a warning, an expiration date. According to this bottle, this water, which survived the meteor that killed the dinosaurs, is going to die next Tuesday. How? How does a substance that is billions of years old suddenly have a shelf life shorter than a Twinkie? Today, we are going down the rabbit hole of the bottled water industry. We're going to find out why that date is there, and the answer involves a weird law from New Jersey, a chemical called the antimony, the secret porosity of plastic, and the terrifying truth about what happens to a water bottle left in a hot car. By the end of this video, you'll know whether that case of water in your basement is a survival asset or a toxic time bomb. Let's drink up. To understand the when, we have to look at the where. And surprisingly, the reason your water has an expiration date starts in the glorious year of 1987 in the state of New Jersey. In 1987, New Jersey passed a state law requiring all food and beverage products sold in the state to display an expiration date of 2 years or less from the date of manufacture. Now, the law was well-intentioned. It was meant to protect consumers from buying old milk or stale bread. But legislation is a blunt instrument. The law didn't say all food except water, it said all food and beverage products, period. This created a logistical nightmare for massive companies like Coca-Cola, who owns Dasani, and PepsiCo, who owns Aquafina. Think about it. These companies don't make special New Jersey-only water bottles. That would be insane. They manufacture millions of bottles in massive plants and ship them all over the country. So they had a choice. They could either create a separate logistical nightmare supply chain just for the Garden State, or they could just stamp a 2-year expiration date on every single bottle they made, regardless of where it was being sold. They chose the latter. It was simply cheaper to tell the whole world the water expires in 2 years than to argue with New Jersey. But here is where it gets funny. New Jersey actually repealed this law for water a few years later. They realized it was stupid. The FDA, Food and Drug Administration, has stated clearly that as long as it is sealed, water has an indefinite shelf life. So the law is gone. But look at your bottle. The date is still there. Why? Because the date isn't for you, it's for them. We're going to talk about the dark side of inventory management and the profit machine later. But first, we have to address the elephant in the room, or rather, the chemicals in the bottle. Because while the law was bogus, the science suggests that date might actually be saving your life. Here is the uncomfortable truth. You are never just drinking water. You are drinking the container the water is sitting in. Most bottled water is sold in plastic known as PET or PETE. That stands for Polyethylene Terephthalate. PET is generally considered safe. It's light, it's clear, and it's cheap. But PET isn't perfectly stable. Over time, especially when exposed to two specific things, heat and sunlight, the plastic begins to break down. Think of the plastic bottle like a tea bag. The longer the water sits in the tea bag, the bottle, and the hotter that water gets, the more the bag flavors the water. But instead of Earl Grey, you're steeping your water with antimony. Antimony is a chemical element used as a catalyst to make PET plastic. It's locked into the plastic structure, but given enough time, it migrates. It leaches out. A study in the journal Water Research found that in water stored at room temperature, antimony levels were safe, but when that same water was stored at 150 degrees Fahrenheit, 65 degrees Celsius, the temperature inside a car on a hot summer day, the antimony levels skyrocketed in just a few weeks. If you drink that water, you might notice a weird, slightly sweet or chemical taste. That is a taste of melted plastic. That is the taste of the container dissolving into your drink. Is it going to kill you instantly? No, but antimony is considered a potential carcinogen in high doses. And it's not just antimony. We also have to talk about phthalates and in some older or cheaper plastics, BPA, bisphenol A. These are what scientists call endocrine disruptors. Your body runs on hormones. They are the chemical messengers telling your cells what to do. Endocrine disruptors are like hackers that break into that communication system. They mimic estrogen. If you drink enough plastic soup, you are introducing synthetic hormones into your body. This has been linked to reproductive issues, developmental problems, and yes, cancer risks. So when you see that expiration date, it's not saying the H2O has gone bad. It's saying the jail cell holding the H2O is beginning to crumble. But wait, it gets worse. It's not just about what's leaching out of the plastic, it's about what's getting in. We tend to think of plastic as solid, a wall. But at a microscopic level, standard plastic is more like this chain link fence. It is permeable, it is porous. This brings us to the garage storage mistake. Let's say you're a prepper. You buy 50 cases of water. You stack them in your garage right next to the lawnmower, the gas can, the paint thinner, and the pesticides. Over the course of a year, the vapors from that gasoline and those pesticides are floating in the air. Because the plastic bottle is permeable, those chemical vapors can slowly, molecularly migrate through the plastic and dissolve into your water. You go to open a bottle during an emergency and it tastes like paint thinner, because chemically speaking, it is now paint thinner. This permeability is actually the main reason why soda expires so fast. Have you ever found an old bottle of Coke in the back of the pantry? It's been sealed the whole time. You open it and it's flat, no fizz. Where did the bubbles go? Did they disappear? No, they escaped. The CO2 molecules are small enough that given enough time, they literally wiggled their way through the plastic walls and escaped into the atmosphere. The expiration date on soda isn't about safety, it's about quality. They don't want you drinking flat soda and blaming the brand. And this leads us to the real reason companies love expiration dates. It's not just about New Jersey, and it's not just about your health. It's about the oldest motivator in human history: money. Imagine you run a bottling plant. You produce 100,000 bottles a day. You ship them to warehouses, then to distributors, then to Walmart. If water didn't have a code on it, how would the stock boy at Walmart know which bottles to put on the shelf first? Without a date, the old bottles would get pushed to the back. They might sit there for 5, 10 years, gathering dust, leaching plastic, getting gross. The date creates a system known as FIFO, first in, first out. The expiration date forces retailers to rotate their stock. It ensures that the product you buy is relatively fresh. This protects the brand's image. Dasani doesn't want you drinking 5-year-old plastic-tasting water because you won't buy Dasani again. But there is a more cynical angle here: planned obsolescence. If I sell you a survival water brick that lasts forever, you buy it once. That's it. I never see you again. But if I tell you it expires in 2 years, guess what you have to do in 2026? You have to throw it out and buy a new one. It creates a recurring revenue cycle for a product that is literally free if you turn on your tap. And this brings up a massive point of confusion. We need to distinguish between the types of dates because this trips everyone up. There is a legal difference between best by and use by. Use by, usually found on meat and dairy. This is a safety warning. Eat it after this date and you might get salmonella. Best by, this is a quality warning. The chips might be stale, the water might taste like plastic, but it won't kill you. Water bottles have a best by date. It is a suggestion. So this begs the ultimate question, the scenario you are actually worried about, the zombie apocalypse. If the grid goes down and you find the case of water from 2012 in your basement, can you drink it? Here's a scenario. You are dehydrated. The taps are dry. You find the bottle of water. The date says best by 2015. Do you drink it? The answer is yes. In a survival situation, the risk of dehydration kills you in 3 days. The risk of trace amounts of antimony or BPA from an old bottle takes decades to cause harm. Unless the bottle is bulging, which means bacteria got in and is producing gas, or smells like gasoline, permeability, the water is sterile. It might taste like a melted Lego brick, but it will hydrate you. However, if you want to store water properly so it doesn't taste like Lego, stop buying flimsy disposable bottles. If you want to be a serious prepper, here's the hierarchy of water storage. 1. glass. Visual, a beautiful glass jar of water. Glass is impermeable, it leaches nothing. Water in glass, kept in the dark, lasts virtually forever. The downside, it's heavy and it breaks. 2. Rigid HDPE, a blue 55-gallon water drum or a rigid camping water can. You know those thick blue barrels? That's HDPE. It is much denser than the PET used in disposable bottles. It resists leaching and permeability much better. This is the gold standard for long-term storage. 3. Aluminum cans. Visual, a can of liquid death or emergency canned water. Canned water is becoming popular. It blocks all light, preventing algae, and is airtight. But if you must store these cheap bottles, follow the vampire rule. Treat your water like a vampire. Keep it in the dark. UV light accelerates the breakdown of plastic. Keep it cool. The heat is the enemy. No hot garages. Keep it away from fumes. No gasoline, no paint. If you do that 2-year expiration date can easily stretch to 5 or 10 years without a significant drop in quality. But there is one type of water that expires instantly, and you're probably making this mistake every day. Everything we've talked about so far applies to sealed bottles, factory sealed, sterile. But what about the bottle sitting on your nightstand, the one you took a sip of last night? The moment your lips touch that plastic, you have introduced bacteria. Your mouth is a zoo. Streptococci, staphylococci, it's all going in for a swim. Unlike tap water, which has chlorine in it to kill bugs, bottled water typically doesn't have residual disinfectants. It's sterile until you open it. Once you introduce that bacteria and then leave the bottle at room temperature, you are creating a petri dish. Studies have shown that a reused water bottle or one left open for a few days can have higher bacteria counts than a dog's water bowl. So, does water expire? If it's sealed, no, but the plastic does. If it's opened, yes, absolutely. Drink it within 24 hours or dump it. We have spent 20 minutes talking about expiration dates, chemistry, and laws, but we have to zoom out. The fact that we even have to discuss the expiration date of water is a symptom of a weird society. We have taken a resource that falls from the sky for free, packaged it in a petroleum product that takes 450 years to decompose, shipped it across the world, and then stamped a date on it to tell us it's bad so we buy more. We are worried about the plastic leaching into the water we drink, but we should probably be more worried about the plastic leaching into the world we live in. The irony is, tap water in most developed countries is regulated much more strictly than bottled water. It's tested hundreds of times a month. It comes through pipes, not plastic, and it doesn't have an expiration date. So the next time you see that date on a bottle, remember what it really means. It's not a timer for the water, it's a timer for the bottle. And maybe a timer for how long we can keep sustaining this industry. So to summarize, the water is billions of years old. It's fine. The plastic is the problem. It leaches chemicals and lets in smells. Store it cool, store it dark, and keep it away from gas fumes. And if you find a bottle from 2010 in the zombie apocalypse, drink it. It's better than dying. Cheers to hydration. If you enjoyed this deep dive, check out this video right here where we test how long it actually takes for a burger to decompose. Spoiler, it's disturbing. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.